Thank you, Greg. Just you mentioned that this legislation here, this amendment, has some definitions. Can you help me out here? What's the definition of a lobbyist?
The state has a very good and comprehensive definition of a lobbyist. I think the references I was making was to the fact that there are different definitions in other municipalities and localities around the state, and some don't have them at all. Going back to the state's definition, there are some who would say that there are people who come down here and call on us pushing different positions who are not registered as lobbyists but who refer to themselves as consultants or some other name, and we might want to consider broadening the definition of what a lobbyist is to be sure we encompass all those who do certain kinds of work.
And what's the definition of a lobbying entity?
Okay, so lobbying entity means any entity that hires, retains, or employs or compensates a natural person to lobby state government as provided in subsection E.
Thank you. And just above that is actually the legislation's definition of a lobbyist, which I believe your name is on, so I thank you for that. So earlier this morning, we were talking about the legislation that was filed last night. And I'm pulling up a previous amendment here. And it had that disclosure. And frankly, I thought this disclosure was a very, very small step. It was something that wasn't comprehensive enough. But when I read this, I was prepared to vote for it. So when I'm reading about having to file economic interest above $5,000 and list out assets, it actually asked if a legislator was a lobbyist on this disclosure. I supported that. I thought that I thought this was small, but I can make a compromise and go, okay, this is the first step. I could support this. I was very disappointed when I heard that this amendment took this disclosure out. Very disappointed because, Greg, this was good work. I think we could have voted for this today and passed it. And I thank you for that, but I'm disappointed that it was taken out. So the next part is that this task force, when is it supposed to report to the legislature?
March 31st of 2020.
And is that before or after the primary?
What day is the primary?
March 17th.
Then it would be after.
Okay. So is it possible that former Representative Royal's replacement could be seated and possibly win a primary before this report even comes out?
I do not know how their appointment process is going to go. I know that on our side, the Speaker has strongly indicated that if Representative Arroyo or former Representative Arroyo in his role as committeeman were to participate in the selection of an appointment, that person would be prevented from entering the House, or that actions would be taken to remove him, because I think the Speaker wants to be absolutely sure that whoever would come to us to fill that seat would not have any shadow over them.
And it's pretty clear that one of the things that former Representative Arroyo was doing is he was acting as a lobbyist while he was also a legislator. So is there anything in this amendment that we're voting on today that would prevent that?
And again, you get to definitions, representative of different kinds of lobbyists. Currently, a member here cannot lobby in the state for compensation, but at the local level, it would be different, and different yet again in areas where they don't even define what a lobbyist is. So all of these things, in my view, if you're just asking my personal view, as we move forward, I think these things need to be tightened up.
Well, thank you for expressing that. And it's pretty clear that some of the unethical behaviors that former Representative Arroyo was doing is that he was acting as a paid lobbyist while he was a legislator. Greg, do you consider this a bold and progressive reform?
I think of this as a tiny first step to a long overdue process that will take place over the next couple months to go through all of these acts in a comprehensive and careful way and bring back a wide variety of fixes.
To the bill, I just want to list off a couple ethics bills that I have introduced. First one is HB 3956. The next one is 3957. And the last one is HB 3958. All are currently sitting, referred to Rules Committee, and they're not moving. It sounds like there are over a dozen bills that my colleagues have filed, yet they're not moving. Governor Pritzker has said that this is number one opportunity here, number one thing to do in veto session. Literally, while we were driving down the veto session 2 weeks ago, we were listening to the radio about former Royal being arrested. Yet we have now completed 2 weeks. This is the last moments. This is the 11th hour of veto session, people. And we amended a bill that had real reforms to just get a task force. And really the question comes down to legislators that are lobbying. So I'm going to ask, is there anyone in this body that is a paid lobbyist? Please raise your hand if you're raise lobbyist. Please, I want to see it. I'm asking everybody. Everybody. So, I'll repeat the question. Is anyone here a paid lobbyist? Please raise your hand. I'm seeing no hands. So maybe there's no conflict of interest. Everyone is operating in an ethical manner. We will see. I'm going to call out for Governor Pritzker to call for a special session. We cannot wait till after the primary. Think about this. There's going to be former Representative Royal who might work on putting someone into his chair and then running the primary election, yet he's under indictment. We're not going to have a report from this commission until March 31st. Governor Pritzker, you're listening. We need a special session. We need to come back in a week and get this done. This is unacceptable. We cannot wait until March 31st to do something. Who else is going to get arrested before March 31st, people? Laugh all you want. This is ethics. People don't trust this body. So, Governor, it's your call. If you ignore this, you're ignoring a serious problem. And who else is going to get arrested before that date?
Chair recognizes